Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. So I'm going to read the 8th chapter of the second book of Left Behind the Kids series, Second Chance. So I'm going to continue reading now. Chapter 8, Taking Flight, page 91. Jude found himself shy and embarrassed about having a girl in his house when he was alone. He had dated before, of course, but his parents put such restrictions on him that he pretty much giving up asking girls out. He saw them at school and after school, but he didn't have one special girl. He was curious, of course, about who would be there and who would have disappeared when school began again, and who knew when that might be. A few days ago, he wouldn't have cared if he never went back and went to school again. Now he wondered if Bruce Barnes was right about this rapture signaling the end of the world in about 7 years, whether school was worth anything. If it was true that the Antichrist, whoever that was, might soon sign some sort of an agreement with Israel, the 7 years would begin, and Jesus would return again before Jude turned 24. Well, that might have convinced him that leaving that whole life and career to study for, he also realized how much time he had wasted in school already. For as old as he was and the grade he was in, he felt he hardly knew anything. Maybe it would be alright for school to start up again once this traffic and fire and death and mess had been cleaned up. Then he would try to learn as much as he could, at least learn about the basics, so he would be able to get along on his own for the rest of the time. If all this is true, Jude felt obligated to serve God by telling others that they still had a chance. There was certainly no reason to pursue a big money-making career. He had never had a goal, a purpose, a reason to do anything other than pleasing himself, but he sure did now. Truths had been thrust upon him. He had little choice. Of course, he could have chosen to ignore God, to thumb his nose at the Creator, and continue living for himself. But he had been a rebel, not an ignoramus. Clearly, God had convinced him of the truth, and now Jude had made the decision himself. He had a lot of pain and grief and regret to work through, but from now on it was he and God all the way. Jude waited politely for Vicky to emerge from his parents' bedroom. He wanted to tell her that she could feel free to use the shower in the master bath. When she shut the door almost all the way, he assumed she might be trying on something in front of the mirror. He didn't want it to walk in on her. But she didn't come out, and he heard no water running. He looked at his watch, decided that in 5 minutes he would just discreetly knock, tell her about the shower, and finally be able to get upstairs to collapse in his own bed. He sat on the couch and clicked on the television to check out the progress of the massive cleanup. They decided to call Bruce Barnes to see if he and Vicky could come by that evening or the next morning, whenever they woke up, or to tell them some news. Jude was sure that Bruce would be thrilled that they had made their decisions. Also, he wanted to know where he might find those other two kids, Lionel and Ryan. It seemed they were all in this together, and they should watch out for each other. Jude muted the TV and dialed the church. He reached an answering machine with Bruce's voice in the greeting. Bruce sounded as shocked as anybody. This must have been a message he recorded within a couple of hours of the rapture. The message said, "You have reached New Oak Village Church. We are planning a weekly Bible study. For the time being, we will meet just once each Sunday at 10 a.m. While our entire staff except me and most of our congregation are gone, the few of us left are maintaining the building and distributing a videotape our senior pastor prepared for such a time as this." You may come by the church office anytime to pick up a free copy. We look forward to seeing you Sunday morning. Jude did not leave a message, figuring he'd be called back after Vicky finished showering. He looked down the hall toward his parents' room. He heard nothing and the door was still nearly closed. He began to get up and head that way when he noticed bizarre images on the TV screen. He sat back down and turned the sound up. Breathless CNN announcers told strange stories from around the world as they showed videotape images of people disappearing right out of their clothes. Husband videotaping his wife about to give birth, caught the nurse's uniform floating to the ground, his wife's huge stomach going suddenly flat. The baby had disappeared. Local TV stations from around the world submitted tapes of disappearances where the vanishes had occurred in time zones where it was daytime. Jude watched fascinated as groom disappeared while placing the wedding ring on his bride's finger. A funeral home in Australia reported that nearly all the mourners and corpses had disappeared from one funeral. At the same funeral home and another funeral at the same time, only a few mourners disappeared and the corpse remained. A video cameraman called these action at a cemetery as 3 pallbearers disappeared and the other 3 dropped the casket, which broke open to reveal that it was empty. The video panned to several freshly opened graves of bodies suddenly missing. The CNN anchorman announced that the morgues all over the world reported various numbers of bodies missing. At a soccer game between 2 missionary schools in Indonesia, a parent videotaped all but one player disappearing right out of their uniforms during play. He announced that one remaining player had reportedly taken his own life with his remorse over the loss of his friends. Jude knew better. Jude could have been that player. That suicide was the result of despair, not of remorse. That kid knew where his friends were, knew he had missed his chance. The problem was no one had ever told him that he had another chance. When the TV moved on to more mundane reports of the cleanup, of a Romanian leader planning to visit the United Nations, and of a word of comfort and encouragement from United States President Gerald Fitzhugh, Jude fought to keep his eyes open. He lay on the side of the couch wondering if he should call for Vicky to see if she wanted to watch any disappearances if they were shown again. Within minutes, with the TV droning, Jude was out. He would sleep motionless for hours. Ryan Daly had been wrong about hearing something behind him. His imagination was playing such tricks on him that he was sure that he had heard footsteps and shouting, and it was certain that someone was gaining on him, someone who might yank him right off his bike. He was already wrestling with his heavy bag in one hand and trying to steer with the other while keeping his balance. When he reached around to see who was about to happen, the motion threw him completely off kilter. He was relieved to see no one there, but as he turned to face the front, he was wobbling and careening toward the corner of a garage. He frantically jerked the handlebars the other way, which pitched him and his bike off the bike and to the side of the garage. He bounced and rolled up and over the bike and onto his head. A pedal punched a deep bruise into his side, and his forehead was scraped. Mostly Ryan felt stupid. He had been knocked off his bike and injured by absolutely no one. He glanced back at Lionel's house. All those trespassing creeps were inside. They didn't care a whit about Ryan or Lionel or what they were up to. Slowly, painfully, Ryan remounted his bike and pedaled off, looking for Lionel. Lionel was riding in a circle in the street a block away, waiting. "Why didn't you come for me, man?" Ryan complained. "They could have had me." "But they didn't, did they? I looked back just as you were looking back, and I saw what you saw. Nobody." "Too bad you didn't learn to ride without running into garages." Ryan figured Lionel was only teasing him, but he wasn't in the mood for it and made him mad. In fact, he felt more angry than he had in a long time. Ryan had been known to be a bit of a hothead in sports when things didn't go his way, and he could scream and yell at Raimi Steele and his other friends once in a while, but he felt such a rage at Lionel that he could hardly contain himself. He wanted to kill this kid, despite the fact that right then Lionel was the last friend Ryan had in the world, at least that he knew of. Ryan imagined himself jumping off of his bike and charging Lionel, knocking him off his own bike and pounding him into the ground. He wondered if Lionel knew what he was thinking, but because Lionel looked strangely at Ryan as if he were worried about him. "Are you okay, man?" Lionel asked. "Of course I'm not okay," Ryan shot back. "How could I be okay? My parents are dead, I don't believe in God, at least a God who would do this, and I have nowhere to live. How could I be okay?" "You've got a place to live," Lionel said. "I'm the one without a house. You just have to get over your fear and talk yourself into going inside." "What do you think, that death is contagious or something? You'll be safer in your own house than any other place I can think of." "I just can't, Lionel. Now don't pressure me." "Well, anyway, what I really meant was, are you okay with that scrape on your forehead? You need to get that cleaned and bandaged." Where are we going to do that?" "At your house. Follow me." "Lionel, you don't have to go in, you big baby. I'll get the stuff and do it in the driveway, but I might try to get you inside if you'll let me. I want to go inside, but I can't. Let's worry about that when we get there." "Don't make me try to do something I'm not ready for, Lionel." When they arrived several minutes later, Ryan waited in the driveway while Lionel went through the back. When he came out with the first aid kit, Ryan thought he was strangely silent. "What's the matter?" Ryan asked. "You don't want to know." "Of course I do. What's up?" "I'll never get you in there now." "Why?" "Just touch up and hold still. This is going to sting." Ryan had to admit to himself he was impressed with how Lionel was taking care of him, watching out for him, even if Lionel put him down and called him names sometimes. This is clearly a kid who either had in his personality or character to help others, or he had really paid attention when his parents took care of him. Lionel pulled several squares of gauze off a roll, drenched them in a solution that smelled like a doctor's office, and told Ryan, "Close your eyes, grit your teeth, and stand still. It'll sting, but I have to clean the wound. It won't hurt long. The air will cool, and the pain will go away quick." "Wait, don't let me do it." "Yeah, sure, no way. Now come on and let me. Hurry, this evaporates faster than water. Now do what I say." Ryan held his breath and shut his eyes. He forgot his gritted teeth, but that happened automatically when Lionel set down the first aid kit and gently touched the alcohol-drenched gauze to his raw, scraped forehead. Lionel didn't even rub it, but felt like sandpaper on Ryan's wound. Ryan started to wrench away from the pain, but Lionel seemed prepared for that. He grabbed Ryan's arm with his free hand and hung on. Ryan wanted to squeal, but he resisted, his teeth pressed tightly together. "Okay," Lionel said, "hang on. I'm through it. I'm going to let go. Just don't touch that spot. It's clean and when it dries, we can bandage it." "Ooh, ooh," was all Ryan could say. It felt as if it would sting forever, and took all he had in him to keep from pressing his hand over it. But just as Lionel had promised, in a few minutes the stinging began to fade. Soon it felt cool, then cold, then numb. "I think it's dry, Lionel," Ryan managed. "Hold still again," Lionel said, tearing a huge bandage out of his wrapper. "Be careful," Ryan warned. "You saying I wasn't careful cleaning it?" "No, just that. This will be the easy part. Now be brave." So yeah, that's part 1 with Find the Kids. Number 2, chapter 8, taking flight. I'll talk to you guys in the next part. Take care, everybody.